stop worrying about what other people think, and be you. Don't change yourself to fit what you think other people want. Because that's always just projection of your fears anyway, and it's not you won't write your best material when you're trying to do that, you know, and you won't be your best self because it's not real.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Lizzie Wants One. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. After all, it is free, so you know, if you're not doing it, then I'm going to take it personally. I'm joking. But today I have the wonderful and very talented Ed Geater on today. Now, he's not just known for his vocals and guitar playing, he's also known for his beatboxing. So, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, it's really good to be on the podcast with you. How are you doing? You all right?
I'm good, yeah. Lockdown, well, we're supposedly coming out of lockdown, but it kind of feels like we're not, but we are. I don't know, it's strange, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still just trying to not judge anything at the moment because I don't know how to take it all. You know, it's kind of getting somewhere back to normality, but no, I don't think we're going to see the normal we knew before COVID-19 for quite some time, if ever, probably, because I think a lot of new precautions are going to be in place after a pandemic. Like,
have you done that out recently behind you? Is that have you had that set up for a while? Because it's a nice little setup you got going on there.
All the studio gear before, like the monitors and stuff, I've had for a while, but the panels, the acoustic treatment, I got really recently because I just thought, you know, I've been saving up and I just thought it's time to invest in something like that because it makes such a difference recording and mixing from home if you've got panels that are going to absorb all of those frequencies. You know, if you're in a room and you haven't treated it, it's never going to be pro.
True, nice, true.
But it's a worthwhile investment, I think.
Talking about lockdown, I always ask people, but how has it impacted your musical side of your life? Because obviously that's a big part of your life.
Well, there's been pros and cons because it's been quite a drastic change. So I work a day job at the moment and I got furloughed, which gave me more time, I guess, to be creative, which was cool. But at the same time, it was like, it felt hard to, sometimes you can't force creativity, and it felt a bit hard to feel free and creative given the circumstances.
Yeah.
It's just a bit strange and it's a bit grim, the reasons why, you know. So you can look at it one side, one way of looking at it and say, great, I've got all this time, I don't have to work my day job, I can do whatever I want. But then the reasons for that aren't nice, and also that does add a bit of pressure. And any creative watching this will know that, you know, creative flow doesn't always come when you want it. So then as soon as you're given this opportunity of like, well, you can, you know, do whatever you want, you could record loads of songs, write loads of material, it might not necessarily flow at that time, but you know, don't want to complain about it. It's been cool, and I've managed to get some good stuff done. So
yeah, I was going to ask you about that, but first I wanted to talk about obviously your first ever EP launch, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was it Unseen? That was your main one?
So I actually did an EP a long time ago.
Yeah.
Independently. This is back in 2013, and I recorded it in a basement and put it out on. It's on Bandcamp still, called Changing Waves. So that was the first one. But I wasn't really taking everything as seriously back then. I kind of just put them out. And then I went traveling in South America for a while. So I didn't really gig around it or promote it. It was just kind of like a little thank you to my fans at that time, that I'd kind of, the fan base that I'd built on the Birmingham scene at that time. But yeah, so Unseen was part of a 2 EP year. That was 2016. I released Barriers and Unseen, both through a little label called Music Mandy. And that was when I really started taking everything a little bit more seriously. And I was under management from that point. A guy called Tom Bradshaw, who's a really good friend of mine and my manager, and he's great at like structuring release campaigns and everything. So that's when we started to actually promote stuff, and gig and yeah.
And part of your live performances as well, I was watching them all, and the energy you bring, and the fact that you don't have any pre-records behind you, you literally do it raw from your, is it loop station you call it? I don't know the exact term for it. You can
or loop pedal. That's what they're called.
Because I was reading something actually, because you started off with the violin, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, that was my first instrument. So
how come you made that shift towards the guitar, the acoustic guitar in particular?
So, my mum basically got me into music, and she's a classical musician. She plays piano and she sings opera. And so she,
oh wow,
when I was really, really young, and taught me a bit of piano, and I kind of went down that classical music route and had the opportunity to start violin. And so that kind of world is very regimented, and you know, you have to learn how to play properly with proper technique, especially violin. There's a lot to think about with violin, because the sounds like you've got to make sure you have your right arm high enough. You've got to make sure your bow correct. There's no frets on a violin, so your intonation's got to be spot on. It's really hard. And that was like, I did well with violin and I enjoyed it, but I think through friends that I met at school and the kind of music I was into at that time, like guitar driven stuff, we had the idea of starting a band. And so I kind of got a guitar, and it was a completely new world. You know, it's totally different to the classical world. I could just pick up a guitar and try and like learn one of my favorite tracks. I was really into rock music at the time and like punk. So it was electric guitar at first. And it was a new way of discovering music for me, because I just had so much freedom.
Yeah. I was about to say, you must have felt a bit more liberated to do what you wanted.
For sure. And I really took to that. And so that's why I think guitar's kind of become my main instrument, is because I'm quite obsessive as a character. When I find something that I really like, it's just all about that for however long it takes for me to get my fill, and then I'll move on to something else. But that definitely happened with guitar, especially towards the end of my teens and early 20s. And I got into acoustic guitar and fingerstyle, and I was just so obsessed with that. And that became the kind of foundation of the way I perform now as a solo artist.
And when did you find the loop station? When did that come into play?
Well, yeah, so even before I started playing guitar, I discovered beatboxing through a friend. He showed me Razel. Have you ever heard of Razel?
I'm not gonna lie and sit here and go like, yes, but I will after this interview. I'm on it. But that's something I love though. When I talk to people, I like learning new things, and I'm not gonna sit here. I don't like doing that. Knowing people pretend to know what the person's on about. I can't do that. I can't pretend.
I admire the honesty. That's good. Integrity. So, I mean, it's kind of niche, and unless you're into beatboxing, but he was like one of the first beatboxers who really tapped into mainstream, because he released a rap album, and his it was this thing called he did it was a live performance or something. It was If Your Mother Only Knew, which is it's kind of his version of I think it's an Ashanti track originally. And what he does is he beatboxes and does the singing at the same time. And
that must be hard. I can't imagine. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how anybody else does it. It's such a gift, a talent.
Well, it's kind of just like creatively adding a noise at the start of a word. So saying the word as it's said, or singing the word as it's sung, but then kind of just fusing in the kick and the snare sounds at the right times. It doesn't work with you can't sing anything you want and try and beatbox with it, because it won't always work, depending on certain phonetics of certain words it's not possible. But with what he did, it's possible. And he was kind of one of the first guys to do that, and that exploded. And so basically my mate showed me that, and I was obsessed and just started trying to beatbox. And I couldn't really do it at the time. I couldn't really do the sounds, but because I could get the rhythm down, all my friends at the time were like, "Wow, I can beatbox, no way!" And it just became like a playground thing. And then I was like, over the years, I just got better. And so I had the idea. I was like, what if I could combine acoustic guitar with the beats that I do, and in order to do that I'd need a loop station. So I thought, right, I'll buy a cheap one and get into this, and that's how it all started, man. And since then I've spent so much money on more and more like a bigger loop station since then, and more effects to try and like make the live show as big as possible.
It's funny, it's interesting because I was talking to my brother, and obviously he's in the music section, and he didn't know I was interviewing you, and we were watching Glastonbury with Ed Sheeran. He goes, there's so many artists. He goes, and someone I know, he's just as good, even better. He goes, and that's Ed Geater. Wow. I said, that's weird. I'm actually interviewing him. I said, and he goes, but there's people like him that are ridiculously talented.
Oh, so, that's so cool. That's really nice to hear. I love stuff like that. So that's a compliment as well, because Ed Sheeran's really, really talented and is obviously like just so big. It's mad. So that's lovely to hear. And yeah, it's funny really, because the whole Ed Sheeran thing, obviously I get compared to him a lot because I'm called Ed and I'm guitar and beatboxing and using.
Do you ever feel like going, oh please, not again, come on?
I think sometimes, but I try to see it as a compliment, because I think ultimately it's like if you're getting compared to someone who's successful, then you can't complain, can you? You just got to take it as like, thanks man, that's nice of someone to say ultimately. And yeah, I actually got into this whole world of doing looping beatboxing and stuff before I'd even heard of Ed Sheeran, and before I think anyone had, before he exploded on that SBTV video and stuff.
That's what my brother said. Yeah, he mentioned that. He said you were doing it before he even become mainstream.
I think so. I mean, I don't know who officially came up with the idea first. But yeah, like I mean, it's cool to see someone doing that get so big and get so much traction. But he's an incredible like pop songwriter, and obviously he writes songs for all sorts of artists. So that's like another string to his bow as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my music's quite different to his. I think like it's definitely more alternative. There's probably like pop sensibilities to the way I write, but on the whole, it's like maybe a little bit more experimental than his stuff.
Yeah,
maybe that
definitely.
Well, it's huge, and I'm not.
no. But one of the tracks actually, you're on about your sound, because you have a lot of urban, folk, all mixed. It's all mixed electronic, obviously with your Beatbox Inside as well. But was it 4 sides and a pointed finger was the one? I thought, what an interesting track title that is, because usually people go, oh, there's 2 sides to a story, there's 3 sides. So where did that meaning come from?
It was actually 4 sides and a pointed top.
Top even.
Yeah.
What did I say? Pointed finger? What am I on about?
I know why you made that mistake, because in the track I actually start, the first lyric is with a point of the finger. So it's, I need to make. But yeah, it's actually not as complex. It's just a cool thing that I thought would be, because so basically in the chorus I sing, one of these days you'll get home.
Mm-hmm.
And like home's like a metaphor for like finding your kind of inner peace. And essentially 4 sides and a pointed top is just like, what does a house have? It's got 4 sides and a pointed top, and it's just like a way of working that into the song title in a way that I thought was quite cheeky, I suppose.
Yeah, and you've had collaborations as well, haven't you, with the likes of Vital and Lady Sanity. So how do they come about?
Yeah, and they've both been on your show, haven't they, before?
Yeah.
More recent, Lady Sanity, but Vital I saw a while back as well. Both super talented MCs, and really great to work with. I've got so much love for both of them. So Sanity was the first one, and that came about. Me and Tom, my manager, discovered her on this when we were. My track was getting played on the Introducing West Midlands show, and we heard her track on there, and then we just checked all her SoundCloud out, and we just thought she was great, and so we approached her, because I had that song that we did together was an instrumental track originally that I released on Unseen called Rainbow Around the Sun. Of what I was feeling when I came up with that riff and that instrumental, and she then wrote, you know, verses and a chorus around that really quickly as well. It took her like, I swear it was like a day or two, and then she just sent it back, and I was like, okay, brilliant, this is perfect. So let's do it.
She obviously had something on her mind. That was it. That day, you got to write on the exact day she'll need to vent.
For sure, you got to hit when the creative spark is fresh, I guess. But yeah, so that was great. And then more recently, you know, Four Sides and A Pointed Top was originally just going to be a shorter track. It's not long anyway, but it was going to be a real bite-sized, just at like 2.5 minutes. But then I thought, you know, it could be longer, and the EP was a 3-track EP, so it's a short EP anyway. So I thought this could have a verse in it with an MC on it. So I thought I'd noticed Vital for a while as well. So same thing, I just sent it over to him and said, would you be willing to write around the theme of this? And again, super quick, he came back like a matter of days.
Maybe one of these days I'm aligned, but I never been tame. Had a panic attack and I ain't never been the same. I'm just hoping that things might change. One of these days
with a verse, and he absolutely killed it on that, and it's great. And we've had me, Sanity and Vital had the opportunity to perform the tracks together a bunch of times live in Birmingham, which has been awesome. Most recently at the end of last year at the Sunflower Lounge for my EP launch, which was great.
How was that, the whole preparing for, because obviously Sunflower Lounges, everyone knows about that. That's a hot spot, especially for up and coming artists as well. I mean, I always say like Dua Lipa, different people that have been there, and people don't realise most of the time that she's been there, because they'll look online on YouTube and like, oh, was that in London? Like, no, it's Birmingham. So what's that like, having to prepare for shows like that, and what advice would you give to someone that is thinking of doing their first EP launch?
So I would say, what's it like, first of all? I mean, it's an exciting thing. I used to get very anxious with shows. So the first time I think I played that, I was really anxious and fearful, which wasn't pleasant actually. You know, so it's like, it took me a long time to get over that.
Do you like punishing yourself? Is that what it is? You enjoy punishing yourself?
Well, masochistic kind of love. No, I just like, it took me a long time to get over the anxiety issues when it came to performing. Even though I knew I loved music and loved sharing what I was doing and creating, it was like the actual performing of it in front of people. It took me a long time to feel free in that situation. But more recently, it's just been like, now when I've got a big show like that coming, I'm just really excited, and they're like healthy nerves. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I'm happy about it. But in terms of how to prepare, I think it's really, really good to get a date in mind months and months ahead. So you've got an idea of how you're going to structure the promotion campaign. Definitely worth putting some money into creative ways of promoting it, whether that's video content or, flyers are a given. Yeah. It is also worth, even though we're like so social media focused these days, it's also worth getting some physical flyers done and going around your hometown or venues nearby or whatever, or places in town if you're playing in Birmingham Centre, and just dropping them around and spreading the word of mouth, because word of mouth is so powerful. I think a lot of people overlook it now, but it is, to talk, have an actual interaction with someone in the real world. Mm-hmm. It's like irreplaceable, especially now. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And what else? Yeah, just rehearse as much as you can, perfect the set, know your set like months ahead, know exactly what you're going to play, and just have it down so that you're not guessing on stage, I suppose. So you're not like, it's the worst is feeling like underprepared. If you don't feel like you know what you're doing inside out, then you can't fully let go. When you're in that moment, you'll be thinking, and the more thinking you're doing, the less present you are. Mm-hmm. The less able you are to truly lose yourself in the performance and give your best. So have
you ever done that when you're on the loop station where you've tapped the wrong thing but you've carried on?
many times.
But you do it so well that you just play it off. I meant to do that.
There's been, there's been a few times where I think like, okay, that was obvious. There's no way that someone heard that and not realize that was a mistake. But then afterwards I've asked people and people are like, oh really? No, I didn't notice it. So I must be doing something right. I mean, I think I'm quite used to doing it now. Like I've been doing it for many years, so I've got it down to some extent, but mistakes always happen. And I think because I'm quite used to making the mistakes now, it's like when they do happen, I don't look or appear shocked or panic anymore. It's just like, okay, that's happened. How can I work around that? And if it's a case of I made a mistake on the guitar in the loop, then I'll just carry on playing something and cancel what I was looping with my, because you've got two buttons. You just hold it down and cancel that and then just loop again. So it might just mean that round of 4 bars of material will be repeated again. But in a live setting, that's not really a big deal, and it's not really a huge problem, and therefore probably not noticeable. So
I think it's important as well for people to realise that it's okay to make mistakes. We're human as well. Like some of the biggest musicians and singers do it. I mean, that's why I pass the mic on now. Your turn. I can't hit the high note. But yeah, you mentioned you mentioned actually that BBC's given you a big support platform. You had obviously Introducing, and you've had BBC Radio 6 as well, where tried out your music.
Tom Robinson, he dropped the track with Lady Sanity, the Found a Place.
Wow.
And played it a few times, which was really cool.
But where were you when you got that information? Were you just sitting there, just chilling, or?
Where was I when I heard that? I think I might have been on a train to London at the time, and I saw him tweet it out. Yeah, the first time. And the cool thing was, the second time I didn't even realise it had been played a second time, and my girlfriend at the time, I was at her family house, and they just had it on, and it just came on.
Oh, that is mad.
That was a crazy, like, kind of pinch yourself moment.
That was it. It was got mixed up. It was SBTV, wasn't it? Like
cool.
You did. I'm sure you did a live rendition of a performance for them. Definitely.
We did. Yeah, they went out live on their YouTube. So that was part of a pop-up they did in Selfridges. Oh, cool. Like Birmingham SBTV, repping Birmingham artists. And that was a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, they're huge. SBT. I remember growing up, that's what I'd always be watching that. And then for you to be on it.
Yeah, it was so cool. They're so big now. I mean, now they're just working with. They're kind of a different entity now to what they were, really originally, aren't they? They kind of stand for something different. They're just working with loads of brands now all the time. So they're just another big brand.
True, that's good point.
It's still, a great platform for sure.
So what is the future now? So what's the new music that you're working on, or can you say?
So I can say, I just put my most recent release was a remix EP with my good friend Enigma Dubs.
Enigma Dubs, that's it. Birmingham based, isn't he, as well?
He is, yeah. And he's primarily dubstep producer, but one of the most versatile producers I've ever met, and so talented, and just such a good guy as well. Like, I feel really, really.
You can trust him as well. You just got that kind of mutual respect.
Yeah, he's a great friend, and I feel super lucky to know him, and I've learned a lot from him from kind of production viewpoint. So I produce my own EPs, the solo ones, and yeah, we put that EP out, which was really well received. One of the tracks got playlisted on one of Spotify's editorial playlists. Which
is it Creamy?
Yeah, on Creamy.
Yeah.
But that's just, I mean, that's something brand new. That really feels almost, as much as the radio support's great, it feels bigger than that, because a couple of radio plays on an established radio station is a great feeling, but technically doesn't have quite the same consistent reach as being playlisted on, a big streaming is such a huge part of people's lives now. It's people want stuff fast paced now, and that's where a lot of the younger generation are on. Yeah, for sure. And it's way, it seems to be the prime way that people consume their music now. So that's a great feeling, and we're really excited about that. And we are going to try, I can't really share exactly how, but we're gonna, that track in question, we're trying to, it's called Part of You, the remix of Part of You. And we're going to try and push that even further in the next couple of months.
Wicked.
So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for new stuff around that. Exciting times. But other than that, I've recently, just as we've talked about already, just been investing in my setup so that I'm kind of have more creative control over everything that I'm doing. Worthwhile investments, I think, and I'm just working on the next EP, the next solo EP. So the EP I released at the end of last year is first of a part of 3, a trilogy of EPs that will all kind of tie into each other, name-wise, and yeah, just really excited to do that. Not 100% sure when it's going to be coming out yet, because plans have all changed because of COVID-19. So.
Yeah, good old COVID.
Everyone's stuff's been shelved, I think, to some extent. Well, plans have all just
even changed. Tours. Like, there's so many people that I know have had either tours or they've been invited somewhere, and then it's just completely shattered that. But at the end of the day, there's always future things, future events. These things not happen for a reason. No one asked for COVID, but we can reflect and make things, like the positive things out of it.
Of course, there's always a positive hidden away somewhere, no matter how big the negative or the perceived failure is. There's always a success. You know, you can always find, if you look at it like that, everything happens for a reason. You can always find something that you can learn from it, or something that you'll then, you'll appreciate more. So the next actual gig that I'm at, I'm sure I'm going to be like enjoying it so much, because it's with that new perspective of knowing that I haven't been able to do it for such a long time.
I wanted to ask as well, say if you were your 14-year-old self, what advice would you have given yourself with all the experience now that you've gained so far? What would you have told yourself if you sat yourself down?
Stop worrying about what other people think, and be you. Don't change yourself to fit what you think other people want. Because that's always just projection of your fears anyway, and it's not you won't write your best material when you're trying to do that, and you won't be your best self, because it's not real. Hard work pays off. I'd probably try and teach myself to prioritize better. Start doing your work and then play, not the other way around.
Play hard, then work.
And don't be ashamed to open up with people and ask for help.
Yeah, very important one.
That doesn't even necessarily have to like tie into music. That's just life. Do you know what I mean? Like, my tendency when I was young was just to bottle everything up and just never talk, never ask questions, because I was always scared about what someone was gonna think of me, or I was always worried that I was going to inconvenience someone. And there's no such thing as a stupid question, in my opinion. Like, you've got to communicate, and you've got to do research, and then you've got to be open about you in order to learn and grow. So that's a real key thing that I've learned. I've only really, I think, learned the importance of fully, like, quite recently. It's been a kind of a slope up to kind of getting to a point where I'm like, now I really feel like there is, I'll just, if I need to know something, there's no barrier in the way that's stopping me from asking that question, or going somewhere, or doing what I need to do to get the information, or if I need to heal something within myself, there's nothing that's going to stop me from talking to friends about it, or talking to a professional about it, or whatever. There's no need to fear in that sense. So that's, yeah, probably that. There's a lot.
I think your 14-year-old self would have really benefited from all of that advice. I mean,
yeah, even that, or been overwhelmed and just been like, Jesus, what's this going on?
Leave it all. No, honestly, that what you said there is something I think a lot of people feel. But what you just said, you also strike me as somewhere you like to be the stronger person. Like you like to help others. And so when it comes to opening up to others, it's a lot harder because you don't want to be burdening other people. And I get that too. I understand that.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, I can relate to that massively. So I think the desire to help others is a great thing, and sometimes it's a great feeling to be able to help someone. But sometimes you've got to remember not to sacrifice yourself, because self-sacrifice you can build up a lot of resentment in you, unconscious resentment, because you're not getting the things that you need for you.
It's really true. So true.
So yeah, it's a balance, and life is a balance without wanting to get too deep and philosophical.
No, I love chats. No, it is because I think that's one piece of advice that people should take, especially from this, is that if you're going to take on help or advice or help other people, make sure that it's from a good place, and vice versa. Because sometimes people will just take, and then you got to realise who's your true friends as well.
Yeah, it's very true, and they both have equally as bad results. If you're take, or if you're give, you're not. It's not a sustainable model. You know, there's something negative is going to build up and up within you, and it will come to a head at some point, and who knows what could happen. You know, it can be quite destructive in your life. Relationships can break down, and or you know, you can do something you regret or whatever. It's, you know, it's a balance game always.
So, and you're proof anyway, because of what you're achieving and people you're working with now. You can just see the collaborations again with Enigma dubs as well. I've been listening to that non-stop on loops, and when you're in quarantine and lockdown as well, I advise people to listen to that because it will just uplift you as well. So yeah, honestly, I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. Thanks for getting in touch, and it's a great thing that you're doing. Like, I really love the platform. I think it's cool. I think Birmingham needs more podcasts like this, and more.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, no worries. It's a pleasure. Yeah, it's great for artists to be able to explain their creative process. Not only does that help, if I'm talking from my point of view, it helps me to be able to kind of share it and articulate it. It also helps, you know, maybe hopeful artists who want to learn, or just people who are just interested in the industry and want to hear, you know, and get more of a personal connection. So podcasts are great for that. Freedom.
And that's all I want people to do in the world, is be able to speak your truth, but obviously with people that you feel comfortable with. That's the key thing. But yeah, thanks again, and I wish you all the best. And I always say, but I mean this, you're one person, you're on my top list to see live, because the way you perform is insane.
Oh, thank you. Well, hopefully it's not too long, you know, it's not too far off in the future when that can actually happen. We were looking at potentially later this year, but I don't think it's going to happen, just because I'm not sure everything will be back to normal. You know?
It's hard to weigh up.
Which is crazy to say, you know, because
yeah.
The next time I perform live in Birmingham is like going to be over half a year away. It's just a bit mad, but we'll see. But I'll for sure be in touch.
Wicked.
I know. And thanks. Yeah, I'd love to see you at a gig sometime. It'd be great to meet you.
You too. I mean, I might shy away. I might not be as confident, but like, oh my God, it's Ed. Give you autograph.
I don't bite. I'm approachable. People tell me I'm approachable, so hopefully when you see me in the flesh, it'll be fine.
Thank God. That's good. No, I always do an awkward wave now when I end, and I'm doing a wave like that.
Back in the way.
Yeah, that's it. There we go.
Opening the door and not leaving eye contact. Just staring.
Right then. Right then. I'm going to let you get on with your day. I mean, if you want to carry on adding your in, I'm joking. It looks great. It looks great.